what I've seen of the real character, that could be possible too.
Well, it could be, but I'm just saying. Hey, we're live. So, welcome to the Gordox Pub.
Good morning somewhere.
Oh God, it is probably some. You know, I was thinking because my wife was watching these. My son decided he wanted to learn how to make mead. Okay. Now, on one hand, he's, underage. But on the other hand, this feels like a science project slash home ec project. So we decided we'd get it. We'd get the stuff. We'd make some mead. So ever since then, my wife has just like gone full bore. She's watching all these videos on how to make mead and like the equipment that you need and all this stuff. And her and my son got stuff together and they're making mead and they're talking about racking it. And I have no idea what that even means and all this stuff. And she's just really getting into this alcohol stuff. So a lot of the stuff is showing up on her feed, which I'm like, if anyone looks at your YouTube, they're going to think you're an alcoholic, which she's not. She's just doing research.
I don't know about that. Like, I know a lot of people that do their own, like, homemade wine. And mead is wine. It's just made from honey.
Yeah. But,
so you're just fermenting it.
There are
yeast, and
she shows me these little reels, and it'll be like some kind of cocktail. And some of them sound really interesting, some of them sound really gross. Whatever. We're not a big we're not really into drinking alcohol, which is funny because we're making mead. And I think we're also making hard cider right now. But
there's a pretty old mead recipe, like the oldest one. So there's a mead brand called Viking Blood.
Yeah.
That makes it from a 15th century recipe. That's the oldest written down recipe.
Yeah.
And it has hops in it.
Huh. So doesn't that make it more of a beer?
It does make it more of a sour flavor, but it's not. I mean, it's not like a beer. Like I've had it. It's not my preferred one. I've had some summer mead that I like a lot more, but
well, my wife decided, she's like, because according to our church, you're not supposed to have alcohol as a beverage, which allows us the loophole of you can take cough syrup because it's got alcohol in it, but you're taking it as medicine. And
what did they say to the Bible saying take a little wine is good for your heart?
Yeah. Like I'm
saying not not drunk, but
I know. And I think biblically, it's if Jesus makes wine, which he does in the Bible, so
yep.
Okay.
Water into wine.
If he makes wine, and wine is sinful, then Jesus sinned. And that no, I don't think that works. So,
well, in Ephesians it says not to excess.
Right, and
I said, I mean, I think that's kind of a sliding scale.
Well, yeah,
you know what's excessive for you, but the point is you're not supposed to have so much that you dull your senses, so you're
end up
easily
sick.
Well, you're easily manipulated by outside forces.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
So-
kind of lowering your guard.
Right.
So, yeah, and but the way I look at it, I mean, the church is trying to protect you from, again, drinking to excess. And the easiest way is just not to drink. And so they ask the members, not to drink alcohol as a beverage. And so, generally speaking, I'm like, whatever. Well, so when we're making mead, Rhonda's like, this is literally what she wants it for. She decided, she's like, this will be great if you have to make hot toddies if you have bronchitis or a cold. Like, she's legit. Well,
Is anybody really buy that?
no, I really think that's what she wants it for. She is a firm believer that if you get a cold or a bronchitis, she's like, you might as well have a hot toddy. It's got all the crap that she's like, it's got alcohol like your cough syrup. It's got honey to help smooth your throat and ease congestion. It's actually a pretty effective medicine. So I don't see my wife having hot toddies to get drunk. I mean, she might, but the alcohol also helps you sleep when you're sick. So there's a lot of reasons.
That's what I did when I couldn't sleep when I was sick a lot of times. But I have a I have a couple of bottles of real alcohol. Not any pretense on something else. But I would, slam some scotch or whiskey. Knock back some and then pass out.
Huh. I have never. Well, when we lived in Vegas, I was drunk, but I was never blackout drunk.
Oh, I didn't say blackout. I said pass out.
I was never pass out drunk.
Well, I'm talking about pass out by going to sleep.
Oh, okay.
I would drink enough to make my belly warm and my head warm, and then just close my eyes and get some rest.
Oh.
I only did that when I was really sick. I've never been a really big alcohol guy because my father died of cirrhosis of the liver and heart failure. So
I've just never been much of an alcohol guy because I don't like the taste of alcohol. Although there are plenty, like I've said before, girly cocktails. But
I've had a couple of days in my life that I really knocked that shit back. I've had like 3 really heavy drinking days in my life, but it's been quite a long period of time that they were over.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm not looking to get messed up.
And honestly, one of them was before I was legal age. One of them was the day I turned legal age. And the last one was about 15 years ago, something like that.
Oh.
Maybe a little bit less.
I was telling Rhonda I was going to start making beverages and showing at the Gordock's pub.
Making beverages and what?
And then showing them on here. I like that.
Showing them?
Yeah.
That was what Chad's idea was, that he was going to do that for his channel, was do mixed drinks and barbecue recipes and shit like that.
Well, that would just be tonight I happen to be, whatever.
I think he's missing an opportunity, to be honest with you, because he's pretty up on conspiracy theories. So
yeah,
it would would be awesome to mix a conspiracy theory with a drink. You know what I mean?
Okay, that would be.
You know, just for the fact that it's not a combination that you're normally going to see.
Huh. I'll think about that.
Yeah, he loves conspiracy theories. So, like, he's not a conspiracy theorist, but he loves looking into those conspiracy theories.
I wonder if he's ever heard of Robert Barnes. He does these things about, he calls them his hush hush videos, and he'll go through some conspiracy theory about whatever. Um, the only thing that I don't like about him is, I don't, for some reason, I think he should have better artwork for it, but whatever. I don't know. That's just me. I messaged my wife and shot her your idea that you just said, and
Which idea?
the conspiracies and cocktails thing. And
Well, I thought that was Chad's idea originally, but
okay,
I kept
well,
getting
whatever.
that wrong anyway.
So I clicked on Facebook, and there's a message from my wife. Guess what didn't get put in the freezer yesterday? Which quickly realized means her ice cream, because I did not get any ice cream. Okay. And so I just said, "Oh, sorry. What do you think about conspiracy-based cocktails?" She's like, "Yeah, I've been looking forward to that all day." Just, I thought she was talking about some kind of cocktail. It's like, okay.
Huh.
Just delayed messaging.
Cross posting, yeah. She's answering the last thing.
Wow.
Not answering that yet.
She says the cocktail show would be cool. So yesterday I decided to waste a bunch of my time. And
That's an interesting way to start conversation.
well,
Almost as interesting as you're not even listening, are you?
I I put there was a video by Screen Crush about it doesn't break canon. And well, The Acolyte, the Disney show, Screen Crush put up a video, the channel put up a video saying it doesn't break canon at all. And I would beg to differ. Like, I watched the video, and I'm like, okay, maybe, like, if you want to take several leaps of faith, then okay, sure. Like, as long as you want to believe people were incredibly stupid several times and several different people, then it doesn't break the lore. Sure. But it's still terrible. And somebody posted, and I thought this was very accurate because I've noticed this before. But Screen Crush will put out videos while a show is going on, and like a Disney show where they'll break down the episode and stuff. And I have enjoyed them. Ryan Airy, the normal host, I've actually had a small exchange with him because he's got this facial tick, I think. Well, if you pay attention, every once in a while he has these really hard blinks. And that's actually a sign of Tourette syndrome. And it's just one of those things. Just one of those things that I've noticed. So I've enjoyed that channel. I'm not going to say that it's a bad channel. I'm not going to say there's a, but yeah, they will run positive videos, which is one of the reasons why I kind of like to watch them. During a show's run, and then a few months later, they'll drop some show where they talk about what went wrong with The Acolyte. That's what they'll do. And they'll talk about how it wasn't that good.
That's their paradigm.
Yeah. Well, it's their way of having their cake and eating it too. I'm sorry, but it just seems like they're really wanting that early Disney access or something. I don't know, but so they get to have that, but then they also get to say, but look, we're objective. We also have this video. And it's like, all right, sure. Is that the, what is that? What is that in your hand? On the left. What? Is that, what is that?
Page 1.
So you're getting placement of people, sort of?
Yeah, well, I got 2.
Right, because he's running through the crowd?
I'm trying to include one of the background girls, women. So...
so funny.
So I figured just 3 people in the background as monsters, but in the shadows, in the in-between spaces. More like the original plan where they're mostly shadow monsters. But.
Okay, I really don't remember that part of that song.
What?
I just didn't remember this part of the song.
I can't even hear what you're talking about. So
You can't hear the music?
I can hear a beat and barely.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, I've got like 3 fans going.
Oh. Well, then I won't
I got
necessarily.
2 big hot lights. So let's see.
Yeah, but I can't hear anything.
Yep. So I don't usually listen to this mix because it's part of the other mix, and the other mix is longer.
Oh, well, I just clicked on one.
No biggie. But that's why you're noticing it more, is because this is one small spot in a much bigger mix.
Huh. Apparently, I was tapping my foot too hard.
Why?
Because my wife just messaged me. What are you banging up there? That's the only thing I can think of. As I have clearly been on camera this entire time. So.
Nothing yet. Just getting some practice in.
Yeah.
Just getting my warm-ups out the way. Eli's got school tomorrow. I'm thinking that he's been staying up later in his room than he wants to let on. And then getting up earlier than he needs to.
Yeah.
So he's getting no sleep, and that makes him cranky ass.
To be fair, that would make me cranky too.
Yeah, but he's doing it to himself.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
What?
Can you see that?
A little bit. Oh, the air?
Yeah. It's blowing my cover page down. Or up, not down.
I'm just making it big for a few seconds so I can see better.
Yeah, like if I lift this up, well, now it's not going to do it, right?
I saw it the first time. You're fine. I believe you. Video evidence is there. It's all good. Back to this chair.
You sure you don't want to eat this?
I don't know how to eat. Yeah, we really don't listen to this one much.
No, because I'm normally doing the fantasy type music.
Well, I've been digging it, that's all. I'm just letting you-
All right, that's what we listened to when we first started the channel. Because I didn't have anything else. That's mostly the reason that it's not my go-to stuff now is because I listen to this a lot.
Oh, I was tapping my foot again. So earlier today, I was at CVS picking up some meds, and I had on my Jocasta cookies, just like Mom used to make shirt. And you know, the woman who got my order together had no idea who Oedipus Rex was, had no idea who Jocasta was. None whatsoever. I mean, not that I have any problem explaining this, but I was like, yeah, it's a, classic Greek mythology, Kingdom of Thieves. Nope, just never heard of it. Yeah, well, I guess now you have. The only thing bad about that shirt is I don't mind wearing it in high school. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But this fall I'll be in middle school. I don't think I'll be wearing that one. I think it's a little too adult for 7th and 8th graders.
Now I'm just gonna pick that shit back up.
Huh?
I picked my eraser off the paper and then it started doing that shit. I was like, now it's gonna pick that shit back up.
Well, my guess is that the eraser is a slight bit tacky, pulls it up just enough so the air can get underneath, push the rest of the way. That's my guess.
Well, I'm going to agree with you in this particular instance, but it was happening before I put the erasers on it.
Okay.
So, I definitely think that's what happened that time, because that's exactly what happened when I showed you just a second ago. But it was happening before I had the eraser on there, I'm pretty sure. hydrate, and stretch. Ugh. So, this chick on the first page, she's in that same place.
Okay.
So, it's ironically, in both pictures of her, she's like right over that side of the page. She also, I drew as little of a nose as I could on her, so it's just mostly nostrils, like the old 80s paintings where you just see eyes with makeup on and noses, like nostrils.
Okay.
Like eyes, nostrils, and lips. You know what I'm talking about?
No, not exactly.
Oh. See if I can find some. Wow, that's fucked up.
Okay.
Well, I typed in pretty much how I described it to you, and it's like there's like eyes here, noses here. They're like studied separate, not like the art I'm talking about. I can't remember the artist's name, but see if I can find it under the sea more like. No. Yeah, that's closer. Here we go. It was all over the place in the 80s. We used to joke about these chicks not having noses. Unless they turn to the side.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm going to present here.
Oh, okay.
Now it looks pretty much like it's just eyes and lips. And then there's like two little dots for a nose.
Right.
They had art like this too where, oh yeah, so this one's not exactly the one I was thinking of, but it's closer along the lines. But they had a whole bunch. That particular artist that I just showed you, that was pretty popular. And now I'm finding them all over the place. Dennis Mukai. I'm guessing that's pronunciation. I'll get back to work in just a minute.
You're fine.
What's that?
If you're looking for stuff, I mean, you're good. No, that okay.
Yeah, it's just very simple stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, like this artist is pretty much popular all over the damn place, so yeah, like now it's pretty clear what I was saying to everybody else too. Anybody else. But yeah, like I drew her kind of like that where it was not a lot of detail on her nose. I think one of them had her eyes closed and you couldn't even see her eyebrows or whatever, so because she had bangs. Which I like bangs, and I guess they're starting to come back into fashion a little bit. When I met my wife, she had bangs, and I told her she should, she'd do bangs again. And she's all like, "You think?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then I guess she went to a stylist, and they were saying that bangs are back in, but they're different. They're more shaped like around your face instead of like that kind of almost square cut. So one of the 5 books I'm reading is Conan the Rebel by Paul Anderson.
Yeah.
And Paul Anderson is the guy who wrote Call Me Joe.
Okay.
But this Conan book he wrote, it's in 1980. And I'm looking at the language and I'm like, no fucking way. Like, I get why fantasy wasn't popular if that was the language, because it's difficult to read. Like, I always felt like, and it might be just because I was a kid too, but I always felt when I was reading the Conan books as a kid that the Ace Fantasy Conan books, which were, a lot of them were closer to the truer prose, but they had editors messing with them that changed it.
Yeah.
Like, Elsbreg de Camp, like, literally kind of flattened Robert E. Howard's prose.
Yeah.
And for a long time, only Elsbreg de Camp, and I think Fritz Leiber and what's his name? Who wrote Kane? Carl Edward Wagner.
Okay.
So Elsbreg de Camp, Lynn Carmen, and Carl Edward Wagner, which most people just call by initials KEW. They kind of, especially de Camp Carter, flattened the prose. KEW's prose was a little bit purple.
Oh, yeah?
I actually have one of his Kane books extra. That's a rare one, and I'll probably send it to you. But Paul Anderson wrote his Conan book in 1980. Like, that was before I was really reading Conan. I think in 1980, the only books that I really had looked at see. I was 9, so I think I was more watching like The Hobbit and some of the fantasy cartoons than reading books. But I think if I had read anything or picked up any book that was a proper book, it would be The Hobbit. Tarzan is the first one, but that was when I was little. My mom read it to me.
Tarzan or The Hobbit?
Tarzan.
Okay.
But that's really, it's kind of not a fantasy book because there's no magic, there's no monsters. It's just the monsters are people, you know?
Right.
Or the fact that he had like Kerchak and a lot of the other apes able to speak. But really, I mean, it was more of an adventure than a fantasy. By definition of fantasy. In my opinion, that definition needs to be expanded. I guess it has been a little bit because even though your standards, myth, magic, and monsters, it also has been expanded to include alternate history. But completely made up history should be fantasy too, because it is a fantasy in its own way, right?
Yeah. I suppose.
Well,
I was kind of thinking about that. When you were commenting on my story about the speculative element,
right?
So I was thinking about it, and don't get me wrong, I still agree with you. And
what I was commenting on for anyone watching is not that his black one; it was that I thought he should move it forward in the prose. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
okay. I'm just saying that because people are going to be like,
right.
"What are you talking about?"
He's right. I should. Not a problem. Nothing wrong there. But I was just thinking about various ways of doing that, and how much of a speculative element you need, and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, if you set something in a medieval setting, the the historical aspect is kind of there, I guess, but not really a speculative element. But I think you get more room because
yeah, like if you're doing it in a like you're mentioning your main character has a sword slung on his side or
right,
something like that, you're introducing them to the idea that it's not in this time period. So you're establishing it's different than our time.
Right.
And I don't think, I hate the idea that a speculative element has to be magic or that you have to, try to front load it, because I didn't think that you needed to front load it. I just thought a mention of what she's later on saying she did that day.
Right.
You don't have to show her actually doing anything, but mentioning what the exercises are for, that introduces that speculative element, and that's what I was thinking. But I hate the idea that they're like, oh, it's got to be in the first 17 lines, and anyway.
Well, I mean, part of that was like, so I had an opening that started very, very speculative element forward, like front and center. Um, and I think that was the second version. The first version, I think I got to it on the second page. I might have gotten to it on the first page, but it was also sooner. And so I think, because that's the one you saw was the third version.
Yeah, and I think it was like early on the third page, even though the first page is not a full page.
Technically, there's a line on the second page, which I'm actually going to remove because I don't think I really carry it through the rest of the text.
I totally missed it if there was, because the first thing I saw that was speculative was the guards.
I think steam-powered cars or steam-powered carriages, horseless.
Yeah,
carriages.
but that doesn't mean speculative, because there were, and it's not established what time period it is or in what part of the West or what part of the whatever.
Okay, but you got somebody coming through with a wagon.
They had steam-powered cars for a long time. Actually, if you watch...
Yeah. I think it works. I'm still going to take it out, but I still think you start mentioning steam-powered horseless carriages, it's enough to signify this is probably in some way, shape, or form steampunk. Because you're taking it away from it being a Western. You're starting to. You're getting it further away.
It's period. So, like, it doesn't mean that it's not. It doesn't mean that it's not accurate to period.
It's still not that common.
I'm going to say it was common. Neither did you.
Actually,
if you mentioned it like it's a steam-powered car, there's one steam-powered car. That's not.
No,
common.
because the line is that there are several, and it's just not.
Then it didn't stand out. That's all.
That's fine. I just told you I'm going to delete the line. I don't think I carry it through the rest of the story. It really doesn't. It's a mention that I don't think I maintain, and it would also be a good reason why you miss it, because it's just a blink and it's gone type thing. It's not a strong enough mention, no matter what. It's one of those things where even if it's technically there, is it strong enough? Well, maybe not. And I still think being more upfront with it at the beginning would be a better idea. But it's a part of the. I started looking at it and I just looked at that and I thought, okay, and it's a matter of. I think the farther you go back in history, as long as you begin to know that you're not in this time period, and it's pure conjecture, I guess, but for me personally as a reader, I think the more time on the page you have to get to the magic, if it's going to be fantasy, or if it's science fiction, just pulling it further along technologically is enough. You're good. I guess satisfied. But with fantasy, that speculative part generally has to be magic, or a monster, or creature, however you want to put it.
Magic, yeah.
Yeah.
Monsters includes creatures, just like myth includes, gods and miracles and whatever.
Oh, I don't know why I did. I do that every once in a while. I forgot about it. Anyway, I'd like to make out your image bigger every once in a while, just so it's easier to see. Anyway, then I got to remember to hide or to bring me back. So that begs the question: Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom. Well, the first three, and the last one. I think you could argue are fantasy films because there's a magic element.
Yeah, myth, magic, and monster.
The fourth one, I don't know if you want to consider that science fiction or not. Because, you know, if it's not science fiction, it's fantasy. If it is science fiction, then okay. Because, you know, you got the alien head things. They were aliens.
Crystal Skull, you mean? Or no?
Yeah. Yeah, Crystal Skull.
That was supposed to be, yeah, they're aliens, but they were supposed to be magic because they had properties, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's supposed to be technology so far beyond ours it's magic, or if it's just magic. So,
well, you know, that's like, it's the spawn of the original filmmaker that was mixing fantasy and science fiction.
But I was thinking about, okay, so it's kind of like an adventure fantasy, or a fantasy adventure. Well, no, adventure fantasy. Fantasy adventure, I see people, wizards and knights and stuff like that.
Well, it's definitely an adventure, and the first one's definitely fantasy because it's got religion in it, and that's considered myth.
So, and I suppose part of this could be chalked up to it's because it's George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, but the speculative element for Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark doesn't happen for quite a while. Because the beginning, he's in a temple, which, okay, those exist. You know, it's not a speculative, it's not a fantasy yet. It's all adventure. It takes a while to get to the speculative part.
Yeah. But that's also a movie, and it doesn't have to pass, you know, like, it doesn't have to pass anyone's approval to do what it's doing, you know? Which is the main reason that we're talking about putting a speculative element in early, because if the editor doesn't see it, the editor is going to reject it, whether or not there's a speculative element in it. That particular context has said over and over and over that I'm not going to read 5 pages before I get to the idea that there's a speculative element. That's what Dave used to say. That's what Carrie used to say. That's what KBW used to say. So, I mean, it's not an uncommon theme as far as that particular context goes.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for editors. Again, I agree with your assessment, and I agree. Like I knew that Sunday night. I was like, oh yeah, there's really nothing there until a brief mention at the bottom of page 2 that doesn't really get carried through, and then then you're stuck at page 3, and there's a quick and easy way. I think there's probably more than one quick and easy way to fix the opening, to include it. That would be natural, it would flow, and it'll be fine. And since I can't do it, and I think there are benefits to doing it, that's what I'm going to do. I don't think it's bad advice at all. I just think it's just one of those things where I'm not bringing up Indiana Jones to say that you're wrong. I'm saying that I think it shows that, it could show that that's George Lucas and Spielberg, and it didn't really matter. They could do whatever the hell they wanted.
Right. That's what I'm saying, is that they already established who they are and what they can do, and that the audience trusts that they're going to enjoy the ride, no matter what genre it falls in, because they've already seen them do other genres. It's just like, remember when I don't know, actually, I think you were there too, when in Hat Track somebody mentioned like Stephen King and opened some book with a really really long section with no speculative element or whatever, and Kathleen was saying yes, because Stephen King is an established author and you already know what to expect, so he's got a lot of latitude because people already know what to expect. They're buying his name and with the expectation. And when you don't have a name, you can't do that. And I think that's really what the main thing is, because nobody knows you from dirt until you get published, right?
That's true.
And then if you get published, you can't really do what that contest if you publish. If you're published enough to be known, chances are. Yeah, like I also recall Dave talking about when you open a story, and I think OSC did too. When you open a story, you can carry a reader into that story like 3 different ways, right? And that's one with exceptional prose. The other would be an exceptional character, a character that they like right off and want to follow. And then 3 would be the speculative element. So, I mean, I agree with that. I used to give, like, when I started reading heavily, I used to give pretty much every book a 50-page leeway, because I knew that most authors, and this is in the 80s, are going to establish their character and their setting before they actually start going too deeply into the story. And with horror, usually you've got a little prologue that has a taste of what you could expect, but very little and disconnected from where the actual opening was, right? And then that morphed because people's attention span, like dropped to almost 0. Which is too bad, because a lot of those earlier ones, the development is kind of what, sealed the deal and made it feel realistic and believable. And now, with you not having an opportunity to, because everybody's like that whole Burger King mentality, my way right away. I want to see what's going on and know what the plot is right off, from the get-go. It's a lot harder to establish that kind of depth or connection to character. Was it? I don't know if it was you. No, I think it was Jake I was talking to. I think it was last night, because I told him what books I was reading. He was like, "You read a lot more than I do," and then I'm like, "I do read more books, but I'm a steady reader, not a fast reader."
Yeah.
But even though I do read all that much, it's not very often that I retain all that much to the story, right? It's like just the important footnotes stick with my brain, even though I read every single word, Or okay. I might have a small section of it that sticks with me that didn't stick with somebody else. But I can be reminded fairly easy if somebody wants to, mention what they thought of something that I have read, because I won't be able to recall it like a mental Rolodex or whatever, but I will be able to remember my impressions on it and then recall something after discussion. But the newer books, I'm doing that less and less. I mean, I might remember the plot, or I might remember the character and not the plot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love the Uhtred books, but I couldn't tell you what all the separate plots were. I know the overarching plot, and I know a lot of them are centered around battles that happen or events that happen in history. And it would be easy enough to recall, you know, once I figured out what those events were in history. But it's the overall plot and the characters that I love. So I knew what his overall goal that he was striving for was, and it's like, if you've ever read Pillars of the Earth, I almost threw that book across the room because the bad guy, normally it's like the bad guy wins like 3 major times, and then the good guy pulls himself, you know, victory out of defeat, right?
Right.
This guy fucking did it 7 times throughout the book, and it's a long ass book. And like every time, I'm like going, when did they ever get a fucking break? Like he murdered the main character you started off with, so you pick it up from a different character. You know, it's like wow. It just pissed me off because he did that so many times, and that's mostly what I remember about it. I mean, I knew it was like it's building Kingbridge, or the cathedral at Kingsbridge. I don't know what the cathedral is called, but I know that it's about building that church. But the antagonist is just a piece of shit. He's a rapist and everything else, right?
Okay.
And it just gets worse and worse. I mean, eventually it does, you know, get better, and eventually the good guys win like you want them to, but it's not as much of a win as you would think it would be at the beginning. But I remember that because it pissed me off. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because I literally wanted to throw that fucking book across the room because it pissed me off. But, you know, like, because it's set in the time period it's set in, and that's with crap. We'll do it again. There's the succession would have been going to a daughter, but they contested it with a nephew or something like that.
Okay.
I can't remember their names, but I would know normally. But that time period is like late medieval. Damn it. Alright, so it's 11:20. Yeah, Maud and Steven. Maud was a very popular name. Yeah, Henry the First's daughter. 1138, so it's the end of William the Conqueror's line, I think. But that was medieval time period, and like you could be punished badly for like having sheep that weren't licensed, because wool was such a big trade, and there was a big taxation on it, and yeah, it's just. There were other elements to it. So the bad guy in those books, the main antagonist, is a noble. So he can get away with a lot of shit because he's a noble.
I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get myself a beverage. I'll be just a moment. And I'm back. There's a fat fly buzzing around here, blowing the crap out of me. Hey, friend! How's it going?
Hearing going?
What?
The frame. Hearing going?
Yeah, I think he stopped in and said hello. And then, I said hello.
Then ran.
The drive-by fruiting. Yeah.
I'm not happy with that hand.
With what? That hand?
Yep, that hand. Just grabbing a snack, so.
Oh, I was like, all right, silent streaming, I guess, whatever.
No, there was a lot of sprinkling. And I pretty much wanted to save everybody that sprinkling.
Okay. Hey, what's your opinion of The Exorcist?
That's the one with Linda Royer.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
Huh.
No. It was the right time period for me to be watching horror stuff and religious horror stuff. But I went with The Omen and all that shit. It was stuff that my mom was watching at that time, so I didn't feel the need to revisit it or to visit it.
I'm just trying to figure out, like,
So honestly, I don't have an opinion.
you know, it just, okay, it sucks this little girl's been possessed, but it's like, and then? I just, what's the, I don't know, what's the end goal for that? I don't know, it's kind of weird.
I don't know. I didn't watch it, so. But I did watch a couple of other possession type movies like that, Haunting in Connecticut, or there's a couple of other ones that didn't. I mean, that kind of movie, they don't really. I guess they don't really have a. They're not going to beat the villain. That's the thing with horror, right? I guess that's what my information is, that fantasy is how you're going to defeat the monster, and horror is how you're going to survive the monster. monster is,
Yeah, whatever it is.
but
Sure.
well, since I never watched it, I don't have much input.
Well, I mean, it's basically the same problem I had with Iron Man 1 was that the villain doesn't really seem to have any kind of end game involved, thought out. Like, oh, you're going to rampage all across the city, and what, no one's going to notice? Like, how does he walk out of there not being arrested the next day? Like, it doesn't really make sense.
It's kind of like, I guess, a little bit like books in that aspect that I was just talking about. Like, I remember Iron Man, but not enough to to discuss much of the plot. Like,
Well, I mean, it's a pretty good film right up until the end, and then the end just
because for
the
some
villain
reason I
gets
thought
stupid.
Mandarin was in Iron Man 1, and I guess that's
No.
not number 1.
No, that's number 3. I mean, it's the 10 rings are hinted at in Iron Man 1.
I thought that's who he was escaping from in
Yeah,
Iron
no.
Man 1. Like when he made the iron suit.
That was the 10 rings, supposedly. And you would think that'd be the Mandarin. And it kind of is, but it's kind of not. It's not, but it's not him. He's not there. But, I mean, the villain is smart all the way up until the end. And then it's
Who's the
just
villain in that one?
Stain.
No, who was the actor?
The Big Lebowski. Yeah, him.
Jeff
Yeah, there
Bridges.
you go. Thank you.
I don't even remember. I remember him in it now that you mention it, but I don't remember. I don't remember what he did or whatever. Like,
Well,
I'd have to rewatch it. It's been a long time. Like, that movie is what, 20 years old almost?
yeah, at least. I don't know. Iron Man 1. 2008.
So yeah, no. 16 years old?
Yeah. just one of those things where it seems
I
like they had to have
remember
the big battle, and that's why they
I
have
like-
it, but it doesn't make sense.
I liked Robert Downey Jr. in the role. I don't know how much I actually liked Gwyneth Paltrow in the role of Pepperclaw. But I don't know. It wasn't as big of a deal. So like it wasn't like I guess it just wasn't memorable. Like definitely Robert Downey Jr. is the one that stood out from it. Jeff Bridges is a pretty damn good actor, so I'm surprised he didn't really stand out in it. I mean, stand out in my brain, not, like
Right.
a lot of people may think he was a standout performance, but I just, and maybe it's only because I liked Robert Downey Jr. so much for the Iron Man role, because Iron Man was basically what Robert Downey Jr. was known for since like Johnny B. Good and before that, when he got his ass in trouble for carrying a loaded weapon and all that. Not that, I'm not opposed to carrying weapons, especially handguns, when you're in a situation where you're a star and there was not a lot of nutballs around hunting down stars back in those days. But look, there's no eraser on that page. I didn't pick an eraser off that page.
Yeah, I watched it. I'm going to end up breaking my TV, my monitor, my screen, trying to kill this stupid fly. Ha ha ha!
Did you kill the stupid fly?
No animals or insects were harmed in the making of this video. Ignore the fact that it's not flying around me anymore.
You moved off to Jamaica,
Yeah.
Bermuda, Bahamas. Found a Bahama Mama.
Back in 5th grade, I was in choir. We had to sing that.
How old were you in 5th grade?
I don't know, 12?
12.
How old are?
Because I was thinking, I was on my way down there around that area at that time. But I don't like math. My brain hates math. So.
Okay, maybe I was only like 11, but still.
So yeah, I was 17, so yeah, I was pretty close to heading down to that area.
So the boys have been in Ohio since Saturday, and dog normally sleeps in their room, but since there's no one in their room, we
They're
let
back
the dog.
now, right?
No, they're still in Ohio.
What?
What'd you ask?
Yeah, so, okay, I'm confused for a second. I'll straighten this out.
Okay.
Your wife's not in Ohio.
My wife is not in Ohio.
Okay, so I thought your wife was in Ohio with them.
My wife
So
took them to
when-
Ohio.
So when you said that, I didn't know she came back without them. So when you said that she was asking what was the noise upstairs, I assumed that everybody was back. Okay.
Oh,
All right. Now go on. That's what I was confused on.
So Monday night. What is today's Tuesday? Yeah. Sunday night was the first night that my wife was home without the children. And since the dog normally sleeps in their room, we decided we'd let her sleep with us. And she was real timid about it, the dog. And she stayed down by our feet, and she stayed aligned with the way we sleep. Last night, so night number 2 with the dog, that was not the case. The dog has decided, nope, bed's mine. She's trying to push me out. She's trying to push. I was like, what the hell, dog? Last night you were.
It's her bed.
Well, it's like she's not scared that we'll kick her out now. And I'm like, oh, I see how it is. Got confident. You're cocky.
You need to be scared again.
Wow. That
What?
was. Well,
that's
it's a big message from Stiff
Oh, yeah,
Poverty.
it's an ad.
Yeah.
You're not bothering us. We're not paying attention to you.
Hey, Aaron.
Now that will be a tangent. If I didn't bend it back down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That would be a tangent.
It would be.
Because it kind of looks like he's. Yeah. Yeah. Probably best to, yeah. Curve that bad boy back down. Ah, screens are being slow. That's better.
And that's the tangent if it meets the edge of his hat. Every which way I go, I'm just barely avoiding a tangent.
So, I'm an asthmatic, and I've had inhalers my entire life. And a few years ago, they were supposed to switch propellants because they didn't like the aerosol and blah blah blah. Whatever. The new inhalers never quite
went to aerosol.
Yeah, they didn't like the propellant in the inhalers, so they mandated
aerosol, like hairspray.
I don't know, whatever the propellant was, man. I don't know. So we got these new inhalers.
To aerosol,
and it's whatever. It didn't have the same feel like it always had before. But whatever, I got used to it. But I got a new inhaler today, and you don't even depress the thing. It's just a powder, which they've had for a long time, like Advair discs and stuff, or powders, but not one that's a rescue inhaler that I thought of. And it was just, I tried it, and I am not not a fan because it doesn't have that placebo effect or that physical feeling of now I'm getting my medicine. It's it was not. It is not my favorite.
Write them a letter.
I guess. Or the next time I see my doctor, be like, yeah, about those inhalers. They suck. Or I'll get used to it, but I really don't. I don't like it.
It can be all like De Niro and Goodfellas. Take it back. That's the southern version, right? Goodfellas. So you got plans for the 4th? Are you going to have the kids back by then?
I honestly have no idea. The county that they are in Ohio, is under a burn ban. So they were going to have a massive 4th of July party, but they can't. Well, I mean, they could, but they can't light off any of their fireworks, so they want to postpone the party. And the boys are going to stay until at least that. So I don't know if they're coming home the following weekend or not. Or if honestly, I don't know. When it comes to the summer months, I tend to be like as loosey-goosey with my schedule as can be because I'm the only one that, well, I guess the kids don't really have anywhere to be particularly, but I mean, I guess Dad had his camp and whatnot, but that's just so I don't know. I'd like to see my father sometime this summer. I haven't had a chance to see him. It's just, I don't want. With it being July already, this is the part where I start panicking about, my summer's over, which is stupid because it's not, but whatever. I just realized I probably shouldn't say anything. I'll probably jinx it. Tonight's like the first night, and I don't know how many nights, I haven't heard any fireworks. Which makes me wonder if we're under a burn ban.
tangents are fucking killing me. There's no place that you can go with this without, it possibly being something else.
I was thinking, fix it with shading. Basically, passing the buck to probably yourself still, but
I think I pretty much got it. Just so the thing is that if you don't want to run lines into other lines, but you want or end them where they're even. So like you don't want to end them on the edge of his head or end on the edge of his hairline or whatever. You want to make sure that each thing is breaking a plane.
okay.
So the irony is that this demon dude is a shadow, and he's going to be a shadow, right? So he's going to fade from shape, like clear shape, into shadow. But I still have to be careful with the parts that are not, shadow. And then I get to come back through and make sure the shadows on the characters, all the background characters, aren't blending into the shadows cast by each successive background guy. When I spot the blacks at the end, then like with the inks, then it should clarify a lot of that. What I'm trying to do is use contrast where something light against something dark, even if that something light or dark wouldn't normally be light or dark in that place. I'm using that artistic license to tell the story.
Yeah.
Because we're doing the whole noir thing. So that is kind of some of the photography tricks of noir, is to set up light sources that don't exist so that you get some light coming into solid shadow. And vice versa, shadow into, it's something that should be like light gray naturally. So I just have to make sure all these little fingers and ears and stuff are breaking planes. They're not just stopping on the other lines or meeting other lines going the same direction. Like you can read that, right? You can read that those are demon wings now, or maybe crab legs or whatever. But something that's not part of this werewolf or part of this snake chick. There is a little bit of a tangent right here, but I don't care. because actually it works as what it looks like. If it looks like it's part of the wing instead of the back of his hat, it looks like his hand's crushing the back of his hat, that's fine. You know, if it looks like the back of his hat disappears under his hand, that still works. So that is not a super big tangent, and I'm not going to fuck with that because it's too good right now and it's readable, and that's all I care about. It's funny that I wasn't going to do this big demon dude right here, even though, you know, I did one in the layouts. I was going to do just a kind of little creepy demon dude. I was going to do several. That's what I thought I was going to do, like, to border it, but I think this works out better because feels like it's coming out of the shadow, and that's kind of the point, right?
Huh?
Everything is coming out of the shadows, or coming out of the sorting. And I still got to go back to the first 3 pages and make his vest consistent, but that's part of the thing, is designing the clothes as you go, right? I did hers consistent. She's been consistent the whole time, except that this is the most exposed she is.
Okay.
Because other than that scene, you don't really see anything outside of the cloak except for her hand. I've got to finish her glove off, but get a reference to that. And I wanna Are we ever actually going to show this dude again?
Not particularly. Like maybe as a corpse, I don't know.
I love the answer. I don't know. I'm invested into drawing this guy.
Well, anyway, Adam's here. Says, "Oh, we got a crowd."
Now we got a crowd.
Yeah. So, Adam, we're starting off with the antagonist doing antagonist stuff. So it gets a little frightening at first, but I wouldn't say it's particularly a horror comic.
Remember what I said last episode? People are going to think this is a horror comic.
Adam says he has a terrible memory, that he doesn't remember anything. He's just glad his name is on the chat so he knows who he is.
Yeah, I get that same problem.
I have to constantly remind myself that's not me drawing. Because,
Yeah, the only reason I know who I am is because I have the habit of signing my initials at the end. Can't be that interesting. Watch me color a black space.
Well, I kind of wondered why you're doing it with pencil, but
well, because if I want to fill the contrast and there's too much black in a spot, or I need to have a white spot in something, this is the easiest way to know. I told you that before, I kind of control freak that way. I want to know before I even get into inks. But I also was saying that like if I'm going to do this in Copics, I'm probably not going to do a lot of cross-hatching and feathering.
Adam wants to know what's the meat cute between us two. So funny. We originally met from Orson Scott Cunnard's Hat Rack Forum, right? And then
Yep.
Traded some stories. Started working together that way. Did some critiques, all that kind of stuff.
When the forum closed down, I had sold a story to an anthology that was looking for the type of story that I had critiqued from Brett.
Right.
And I liked the story and remembered the story, so I went and got a hold of Brett and said, hey, there's open submissions here and I recommended you, so you might want to try here.
Yep.
And actually, we're in a writers group that are built of people that met at Hat Track. And this Brett is why I'm coloring it in pencil, because the black has to stop before this.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out where I need to stop, and I have to have so much in there so that you can see that this is hair. And if I know ahead of time where I've got to kind of fade it out, then I can actually start with the blending process earlier. Right. Probably doesn't do any better at answering your question, but that's why.
Your process. I just trust your process.
I'm a control freak, and I need to see stuff ahead of time so that I can fix it if I need to on the fly. Long story short, right? I think my eyes are going buggy. We're at that 3-hour mark, so
Okay.
yeah, I will probably strengthen the gutter between here and here.
Okay.
No, I will definitely strengthen the gutter between those two. But right now, I want to get the basic art laid out because I don't know, like, if we're going to be putting lettering in anywhere around here. I'm trying to keep it open enough to be able to do it without doing it digitally, you know.
Okay.
Of course, I'm going to probably end up doing it digitally anyway, or hiring somebody.
Okay.
It's a big ass panel.
It is.
Two more left. And then the big double page spread. I have no idea how that's going to get accomplished on this small ass desk.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm wondering. Yeah, I mean, what I thought. It's a 2-foot desk, so. And I've got a whole bunch of shit piled on it. You know, like, I can't show you. Why is it not wanting me to show you? It shouldn't be a secret. Yeah, I've got a bunch of pencils, pens, cups full of, you know, paintbrushes, water, markers, all that stuff. Yeah, look at that. That's for what I've done.
I'm gonna pull that up.
So, yeah. If I didn't have to draw a whole entire crowd for, 5 panels or something like that, 4 panels.
Yeah, but I think it. I don't.
Then these pages may have been quicker. That's all I'm gonna say. 3 pages goes a lot quicker when I don't have to draw 15 people in one panel.
I don't think the story will call for a whole bunch of that. So
I hope not. I mean,
it's just the beginning.
Like the double page spread, it's going to be people doing cordon dot. Because, in an enclosed environment where everybody's pretty much inside, you have to have people holding people at bay because people just naturally chicken neck. It's so weird that to get this right, the camera shows you all kinds of content. Let's try the autofocus again. Nope. Either that or my eyes are just out of focus that bad. Yep. My eyes out of focus that bad. No, maybe not. Let's see. Let me enlarge this picture. Oh, yeah. Well, I have it small. Like I have it in the window, so.
Oh. Still a pretty darn cool picture.
Maybe I'll experiment a little bit with that gutter and maybe make it look like it's a acid trip and it's melting.
Oh, that'd be kind of neat. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would buy that. And yeah, like if you want to see that, I got some pros that I can sell you. You can read it on a white background right there. Pretend it's in a snowstorm.
Oh, Adam said, yeah.
That's who I was talking to.
Okay.
Just make a comic where it all takes place in thick white mist. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just having a bunch of spirit warriors in the mist.
Right. Got some vaguely human shapes.
Yeah. Just do watercolor, do real fast.
Great splat. Yeah, I thought about doing watercolor for the color scenes in here. That might happen.
Alright.
It depends because the only thing we were talking about color wise is
Having just one color for
doing it from a point of view of the color or a memory of the color.
right.
Like I think it'd be interesting to do both that way. I mean, I just have to figure out how to go about it to best effectively help tell the story.
Yeah.
It's something we can talk about, other than just grazing the subject. But we're a long way from color. We're a long way from done with the fucking story.
Right. Not a big issue.
Let alone done with the artwork of the story. We're not even done with the story.
Right.
So,
okay.
All right. So yeah, I guess we're gonna call it an early night for. Well, not even all that early, but early. 3 hours. So
3 hours.
Yep.
Pretty good one. All right.
Everyone will show up and spoke. That's what, 3 people now?
Yeah.
Is that including no? Yep, 3 people and an advertiser.
Who's
Feel special,
surely not a bot.
right? Anyway,
Yeah.
so anyone showed up and kept us company, thanks. If you like what's going on, let us know what you think. Let us know if you like it or don't like it, or what you think could be improved. You know, like within reason. Yeah. Anyone that liked, followed, subscribed, thanks. And good night. God bless. God bless.